think this is a very good speech, right? Yeah. I like her performance. I like the way that she used her voice, the gesture, and the message is so clear. So, 3 questions. What's the speech about? What's the main message? What do you like most? You can answer anything. No right or wrong answer. I just want to encourage you to participate. Anyone want to share? Friendship, yeah, so important thing in our life, right? You talk about, many people talk about friendships. You can also talk about it, but how do you talk about it? It's how to say it, right? Yeah, anything else?
She talks about.
Say that again?
She talks about her stories.
She talks about her personal stories. Very good.
Well, I believe the most valuable part is like the twist. Because she built up our emotions so hilariously. We want to laugh about all the single point about her jokes, and then all of a sudden she twists us to get into another scenario.
Yes.
We kind of like very sad about it. So she was very successful manipulating us.
Very good. Interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
make us like laugh hilarious in the very beginning, and all of a sudden we wanted to cry with her.
Yeah, just how do you design your speech to lead the audience emotions to go ups and downs? Yeah, what else? What else do you remember or do you like most? What else?
The metaphor of the gaslight to describe the friendship, the twist between her and her friends.
Yes, very good. She used a metaphor, right? The gaslight, the warning lights, the yellow lights, and also the friendships, right? Good, very good. Anything else? Anything you remember, you want to share, you like the most? Anything?
Her facial expression.
Facial expression, yeah, right? Too dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not always too much, right? Yeah, she used it adequately, so you don't feel it's too much. Very good. I like all these answers. So let's think about the core value in the beginning. Every speech, when you prepare your speech, you should think of your core value first. You don't think of, oh, I'm going to talk about something, and then start to write from the beginning to the end. No, it's not the right way. When you start to think about your speech, you think about what is the core value. I remember I went to a workshop by Roger. He mentioned that it's like you are building a hamburger. The very important thing you need to think about is, do you want a beef hamburger or pork hamburger? That's the core value, right? Very important thing, what kind of meat you want to eat, how thick you should be. So you think about it clearly first, and then you add it on some other cheeses, lettuce, like tomato sauce, mayonnaise. And then you have the bread at the top and the bottom. So that would be the right way to think about your speech. Not all from the beginning and right to the end. That may not be the right thing to do. So think of your core value first. How do you make sure that everything you added later related to this core value? That's how we design the speech, right? Meaningful, original, contribution to your audience thinking, importance to the audience. It's not just important to her, but also important to the audience. And you can make people think about a takeaway message. In another world champion, he mentioned the takeaway message, the core value should be less than 10 words. So people remember it clearly and they can recite it from time to time. So that's why, very important. In her speech, she has an opening. She said it directly to her in the main message, I will be there. So let's invite somebody who wants to try to read the sentence with the emotion, with the voice, who wants to volunteer to do this. Okay, try it.
I will be there. Those 4 words can help you make a friend. And if you say it enough times and follow through, you can make a lifelong friend.
Very good. All right, very good. Give her a big applause. Go back to listen to her speech once again. Watch her. How does she use her voice? What kind of voice she wants to convey? What emotions she wants to put in? Not just read it out loud, but some other things, the emotion inside. Right. So she said it in the opening, direct, straightforward to the point, pinpoint to what she wants to say in her speech. What other types of opening no discussion. I'm going to show you Toastmasters in the manual you can download from headquarters. There are many different types of opening. You can state your importance of a topic like what she did, make a starting statement, tell a story in the beginning, or you can begin with a quotation, a quote, somebody else said important words. Reference to the occasion, this is a very special wedding, a certain thing. You talk about graduation, said that. Humor, some joke, tell a joke in the beginning. Audience, invite audience to participate. You can ask a question to them, like rhetorical questions, or a question to interact. How many people have gone to visit Japan? They can interact with you. So that's your design, to immediately attract everybody's attention. Or you can demonstrate certain things, how to use certain things or show somebody something. A reference to the historical event. So all of these are listed in Toastmasters manual. Talk about the body, there are several parts. Stories, and usually it's from easy to important. That's what we call a development. So people can follow through it easily. And the turning point usually is on the last one. She said about some funny things, and the last one is the turning point. She has a turning point. This is a very important part in all the champion speeches. There's always the paragraph like this. We call it a realization or reasoning part. The paragraph is talking about, you explain what has been done, what's wrong, what you have realized, what is very important things, the truths that is universally right. You said that, your realization, very important. She needed me, but I was never there. This is her reflection, right? And also, she has an introspection. She think about what she has done wrong. She needed me, but I was never there. In friendships, there were warning lights, but I thought those warning lights were just suggestions. This echoed to what she said earlier for the car problem, right? We stopped speaking. A lifelong friendship sputtered and stopped. So very good callback. So people immediately remember the whole thing and may start to think about themselves. Another rule in speech script preparation is using rule of 3. In English, 3 items can be remembered easily. For example, in Julius Caesar from Shakespeare, he has a sentence, I came, I saw, I conquer. And then, of the people, by the people, for the people from Gatsby Address. So the 3 things is a set. It's already in Western people's mindset. So when you write your speech, you give examples, try to use 3 things as a set. So that's the kind of like tradition, convention. If you want to make it humorous, the funny part, the fun part, usually in the last one. So the twist is on the 3rd. I didn't have time to pack much for the conference. Just my socks, my undies, and my Ninja Turtle. So the last one is a fun thing. So you make something fun at the end. So not the first 2, because when we say that's the twist, when we say the twist, it means the first 2 things, you lead people to think this direction, but all of a sudden they switch 180, totally different opposite direction. So that's what we call a twist. Jana, can I have some of your gummy bears? Of course. I forgot to bring my lunch. Here, have some of mine. Do you want to go to McDonald's? How are you always hungry? So the last one is a humorous part, but also follow the rule of 3. So that's how she built up her speeches and used some techniques, right? There are some others. We don't have time, so go back and check the videos. Find it by yourself. Relate to the audience is very important. Is this speech important to the audience? You have to ask yourself, is there a relationship in your life about to sputter and stuff? I put some line to separate the part of the speech. Because when she said it, she actually pauses very shortly while she was speaking of this sentence. So you can think about how you are going to ask the audience to think of this question. So that's your design. How long have you been ignoring the warning lights? The way she said is also a softer, slower pace, so voice. And then it's different from when she was talking about jokes. So when you use the vocal variety well, you can make people have different feelings. In her delivery, she has vocal variety very well. She talked about Jenna, her dad, and also her voice, right? Body language, role play, Josephine and Jenna. When she talk about Jenna, she's always in this direction. When she talk about Josephine, she's always this direction. So you can feel, you can notice that she used the direction to separate different characters. And also the stage use. When you talk about certain ideas, you use the different part of the stage to make people feel differently. So when you start a new story, you walk to a new position to start that. So that's how you say it. Usually when you talk about important things, the main message, the core value, come to the center of the stage and deliver it so people can see you clearly. And usually on the stage, the spotlight will be on you. So they can also be brighter. So that's the best position for you to say your core value. Practice of body language. I was driving one day when she was doing that funny things, right? This is how I drive. Woohoo! Freedom! She said that when she said my parents. So these are how she used vocal variety, right? And practice of role play. Should have filled up my guest tank. She designed it, right? And Jenna said, fine. Right? That's how she designed to make her speech fun. But it's so also important messages coming later on. Practice of role play. I was about to try the third time when Jenna snatched the canister. She actually acted out how she opened up the canister and smelled it and asked her, did you put any gas in it there? And I didn't. So that's also how you tell a story, to make a story lively. So people can see it, a mental image in front of them. Conclusion part, summary of the speech. It is say again, no matter how many times you have mentioned it, say it again once again, your main message. You have a punchline, design it. Last sentence, make people remember it with a powerful ending. Echo the opening. This is some people's technique, they can use that, and usually less than 1 minute. Because if it's too long, people also will lose their attention, because people's attention span is short. So make sure that your conclusion is usually uplifting, the pace is a little bit faster, and that's very exciting. Say your most important thing, conclude the whole speech. The techniques from Toastmasters manual, you can also download from the headquarters. Use a quote again, tell a short story or anecdote, fun things to end the story. Call for action, call to action. Ask people to, let's do something. That's also another way you can end your speech. Ask a rhetorical question. What does it mean rhetorical? Rhetorical means we do not really ask a question. He said, isn't it everybody's responsibility that we should protect our earth? This is not a question I ask you, yes, no, it's not like that. It is a question people start to think. We call it rhetorical question. So you make the audience start to think. Refer to the beginning of the speech or summarize your main points. So there are several techniques you can use in your speech. I want to summarize my workshop, criteria of a good speech, opening, body, conclusion, delivery, and the conclusion. And remember, there are several criteria for good speech. There are some more. When you prepare your next speech, finish that, prepare for it. Think about the techniques that you have seen today. Try to apply some in your speech. I believe your next speech performance will be much better. Toastmasters.